We're in today with the legendary GTX 480. This is a 2010 video card with 480 shaders. It's got 1.5 gig of VRAM, GDDR5, running at 726 MHz on the core clock and 950 MHz on the memory clock. It's got 384 bits bus width, DirectX 11, and today we have two of them enabled in SLI. I'm gonna pair them up with this Xeon E5 2699 V4 with 22 cores and 22 threads with hyper-threading disabled. I think this is a very interesting SLI kit, but the best thing we can do, jump in a couple of games and see how this legend is holding. Let's go. I'm very happy, like I said, that I have now two PCI Express lanes with 16X. That's it. This is very important because back in the days I had problems with X8 and I didn't manage to utilize both of them at maximum. For instance, today I still have problems with the drivers. I managed to see 388 on the drivers and I can't install the newer one. I think with one video card is gonna run perfectly, but with two of them I don't know, maybe this is the problem that I have today. On the video cards is doing the same thing like I've done with previous video cards. You understand, it locks the frequency and I have to adjust it in such a way that it creates a balance between the video cards. So for instance, if one has a higher frequency and one has a lower frequency, it will everything will go down. So in my case, a couple of attempts here with installing and disinstalling the drivers with MS Afterburner. On the core speed I had 400 megahertz and on the memory I had 300 megahertz. I had to find the perfect frequency in order to get the FPS properly. In this case you can see it's maxing out, but maxing out from the CPU, I don't know, it's 188. Well, that's it, that's the maximum I can get here. 4MS is doing fantastic, you know. We're gonna take a drive and see how it's holding, you know, the details, because I'm 100% sure the FPS will drop down whenever I'm driving, you know, whenever I'm loading texture, you know. So in this case you will see that I'm going to load even the VRAM. First video card that is giving me the display here was reflown, and if it's crashing, I'm guessing because it was repaired, you know. So yeah, all right, so GTA 5 is working, but there is some spikes here and there. And look at the VRAM, apparently managed to load it up. I got 600 watts consumption with this GTX 480, but I will not complain because it's a decent performance. It shows me that I have to do some adjustments, you know. For instance, what I will do, I put 100 hertz, lock it to 100 FPS, and that's it. So let me give you an example what happens whenever the clock is down. See, 135 megahertz on the memory clock. I mean, the core clock is 726, but I think because of the drivers it's doing this. I don't understand it, but I will find maybe in the future a solution for this. I've done a couple of ups and downs, tested the frequencies, and I managed to put the right frequency on the GPU, you know, but I have to downclock a little because 726 was on the generic spreadsheets on GPU-Z database, you know. So managed to find the right clock that this video card is actually 701 megahertz, you know, on the core clock, and this is the frequency on the memory. I managed to, I hope it stays like this, but definitely the question is, does it run Crysis? Yes, 75 FPS. If the GPU are maxed out and they're not bottlenecked by the CPU. The CPU is handling bad the game, you know, because it needs to be a high frequency CPU. But in this case you can clearly see that it's nearly there. It's nearly on the edge when it comes to the FPS, temperature wise, everything. 610 watts consumption in Crysis. I mean, all in all is good. Mad Max apparently with this combination it's using 630 watts. It's a good thing, you know, because it shows me this game the maximum wattage consumption from the whole computer. Yes, I got 40 degrees on the CPU side and 6 gig of system RAM being utilized, so the system has no problem. On the GPU side, with 95-96% load on the cores, you can see that the GPU has no glitches. It's working really nice. 96-97% load on the cores, 1.1 gig of VRAM, and is nearly 650 watts. This is what I wanted to see, because usually you don't reach this when you're driving, going left, right, texture and stuff like that, you know. In this case I got 80 degrees in order to deliver this performance, but 100% it will go 81, 82, 85 or something, but that is good. All in all, is doing a fantastic job, you know. It shows me the true colors, how the system is holding this game, you know. So I like it. I like Mad Max because it's It's made for this, you know. I mean, 2010, you know, the video cards. Can I recommend Mad Max with GTX 480? Yes. Ideal will not be to use it like this because this is normal details, 1080p, low details or whatever, yeah. And I think the best thing will be to put 60 FPS and put more details. But if we're jumping in Far Cry with this combination, you're gonna see that the performance is fantastic. I mean, the core is on maximum load, but it's doing fantastic. It looks great, it runs great, there is no problem. It consumes a lot of wattage, but you know, it's a GTX 480. You know, it makes a lot of heat. Thank God I have the aircon on because it would have been not a good day, seriously. Let's take a look. 1 gig of VRAM. Yes, the clock is good. 701 megahertz on the core, 97% load. So yes, only the second video card apparently it's got high temperature, but maybe there is not a lot of airflow there. But all in all, it's okay. You know, it looks fantastic, and yeah, I got a lot of FPS here in this game with maximum details. In this situation, I got 1080p with maximum details, and can see that it's holding pretty well. There's no problem on actually playing the game with GTX 480 in SLI. So Far Cry, it's meant for this type of configuration, you know. In this case, you can actually see it's fantastic. There's no problem. So yeah, I'll take it. If we're jumping in Metro, you can actually see I got a lot of FPS, but not a lot of load. I don't know what's going on, but we're gonna take a look and see what's going on. We're gonna deduce what's going on here, seriously, because I don't understand it. But it's working, you know, it's working. It looks fantastic. Normal details. You can put it on maximum details. You can load the video card up, but I want to see the balance between how is the GPU handling this, you know, does it give me maximum FPS? First and most important thing, I want to see the maximum it can do. In this situation, you can clearly see that it looks fantastic, you know, the game, the effects, everything, even on low details, but I only got 40% load on the GPU cores, 800 megabytes of VRAM. Know what the heck is going on, but yeah, I definitely want this performance. Come here, you plonker. Oh, but if we're jumping in Skyrim with maximum details 1080p, you can actually see the game is doing fantastic. I have no problems here with this type of SLI configuration. The game is very friendly with the video cards. In this situation, because of the 60 FPS cap. In this mode, I get only 443 watts consumption from this game in SLI, but I have no stress. I have nearly 1 gig of VRAM utilization that I'm 100% sure is gonna be filled up the moment I start looking around to see if I start moving. 995, 999, 1000. See, it's gonna fill it up the more you walk on the map. In this case, the core it's around 40% loaded, good temperature, 62 with 67 on the second one, and it's on the bottom. I think it doesn't have good airflow, or maybe it needs a new thermal paste. Regardless, I'm gonna check it and see if everything is okay with it. In this case, the video card is doing fantastic. The SLI combination is doing fantastic. The system has no problem. 6.3 gig of system RAM being utilized, and did around 20% load on the CPU with 39 degrees on this. But if we're jumping in Fortnite, I will show you how the game doesn't work, how the game doesn't utilize SLI. In this case, you can actually see that one core is on 99% load. It looks fantastic. 1080p, low details, normal details, you know, like performance mode, but it doesn't utilize the second video card. 81 degrees on the first video card and 49 on the second one. I mean, what the heck is going on there? But yeah, you can clearly see that only one video card is enabled here. On the second video card, you see that I got 1.8 gig on the frequency on the memory clock, and on the second one 300 megahertz. Not funny, seriously, not funny in this case, but it's working, you know, it's working. The game is working, but it doesn't utilize two video cards. One is 700 megahertz on the first video card, and the second video card is utilizing only 400 megahertz on the core clock to get like 10, 15, 20%. Maybe it's utilizing it for how should I say, physics or something like that. Who knows? Regardless, this is how SLI is not working in Fortnite. 100% you can force it, but then you will not have 95 FPS on average. I mean, I got nearly 100 FPS with 460 watts consumption. The majority of the time you will need to have double the performance, and in this case you don't have it. You know, SLI needs to double your performance, but here, yeah, it's not gonna happen. All right, so do I like the performance here? No, I want more FPS, and I want better performance from this. Yeah, boy. not gonna lie, this is a very interesting performance from this SLI combination. I like the GTX 480 as a single video card, but when I put two together, it becomes a very big challenge. You know, thermal, power consumption, every single thing is a factor that it's influencing your experience. So the GTX 480, it was the top of 400 series. There was nothing better than this video card, you understand? And it became a legendary meme, you know, with that radiator on top of it. And having two video cards in SLI, it was a thing, you understand? But this video card allows you to put 2, 3, or actually 4 in SLI. I don't think if it's working 4, but I know 3-way SLI is possible because it's got 2 connectors on the PCB. The question is this the GTX 480 the top of the 400 series? It shouldn't be. There was almost a release on the GTX 490. I mean, look at it. Dual BGA video card. Can actually see here it was not released, but where is it? Yes, never released. This is very important, and then I think there's a lot of people that managed to say that it had support for DirectX 12. Yes, with feature level on 11, but with DirectX 12 support. I think this was a response to the HD 5970 because that 5970 managed to dominate everything. It was flawless, and I think this was an answer to that video card, but it never came. But the funny thing about this is that this radiator, see how the plastic looks something similar with what video card? Do you know what video card it looks similar with? The GTX 295, and it's got the same radiator. You understand? It actually doesn't have the same radiator because you actually see the bump here in the back. It's a bit tilted. On the GTX 295 is straight, so you see the radiator. How is it? That's it. I was like, okay, so which video card has this configuration? This GTX 490 should have been. It never came, but it was the GTX 590. This is how the radiator looks on the 590. See this tilt on the back? Same thing like the 490. Regardless, I think this will have been a very fantastic video card. Even though it never came, I'm 100% sure there's a lot of people who want a prototype like this. I wish I can have and say, hey, look at this. In between, I got a 490 that is a dual BGA video card. My big surprise was this GeForce GTX 470 X2. I was like, what the heck happened here with 400 series? 40 nanometer, supported DirectX 12 with DirectX 11 feature level. It will have been a very interesting video card to see. How many X2 they wanted to make in 400 series? I was like, well, I know one that I actually have is the GTX 460. This is a dual BGA video card. You can actually see the back of it. They got 4 screws for each side. 460 X2 to win from EVGA. The problem is with my one is that one core is dead and is not being detected. One day maybe I will be able to repair it, but it just sits in the collection because it's very interesting to have it. So the GTX 460, it will have been GTX 470 X2 with the GTX 480 X2. So yes, GTX 480 in SLI. Does it make any impact on yes, it made a very big impact on my soul because I know the GTX 490 was not released, so it was a substitution for that to GTX 480 in SLI. It would have been a very interesting topic if that video card would have came on the market, seriously. But regardless, there's a lot of things you need to take in consideration. For instance, that video card would have been a massive problem when it came to power consumption, because you managed to see today to GTX 480 in SLI how much power it consumes. So even if you're limiting the video card, you know, to 60 FPS, even then you got 400, 500 watts consumption. When it was unlocked, 650 watts. You need to have, for that amount of power, if you're taking half of the load as a model for power supply, you need a 1.2 kilowatts power supply in order to run to GTX 480 in SLI, because majority of people says, I get a power supply, but it needs to have double the load it's carrying. I like the video card, I like the SLI combo, and I think it was a very interesting benchmark today, seriously, and I hope you liked it. Hey, if you have any suggestion in the future, leave a comment and I will see you very soon.